Friends, today I want to share with you my list of my favorite Denver neighborhoods in 2025. This is an exciting one for me. A few weeks ago on this channel, I did a video of my favorite suburbs in 2025. And those of you who know me at all know I'm a Denver guy. I've always lived in Denver proper in my time in the area, apart for a few years in Boulder a long time ago. I want to talk about 4 Denver neighborhoods today. So, like I said before, this is not a replacement of any other neighborhoods that I've said I really enjoy. This is not an update in rankings or anything like that. I don't even think I have rankings. This is just 4 neighborhoods that I'm really appreciating more in 2025 for one reason or another if you're considering moving to a place in Denver or buying a home. If you're new here, my name's Sam Newman. I run a real estate team here in the Denver Metro called the Alchemy Group. It's our goal to be your go-to resource for anything residential real estate at all in the Denver area. We are a data-based group of real estate agents that has a ton of experience helping people relocate to the Denver area. And on the seller side, we will market your property better than anybody in this town. That is my promise to you. So let's get to it. And as we go, it's been my experience over the years that there is a little confusion when talking about Denver neighborhoods, which neighborhood is which and what they're actually called. And I bring this up because it's important when we're talking about these things to know that we're talking about the same thing. So an easy and simple tool to clear up any confusion is Denver's neighborhood map. On Denver's website, denvergov.org, they have a helpful, handy little map here. Does it work awesome? No. But does it work? Yes. And as you can see, they have the neighborhood boundaries right on it. And if you zoom in, if you look around a little bit, you can see the name of the neighborhood right on it. So for example, this is one thing that comes up in some neighborhoods. We're looking at the Belcaro neighborhood here. Oftentimes, the south side of the Belcaro neighborhood is referred to as Bonnie Brae. Honestly, sometimes it's almost universal that people call this Bonnie Brae. This is the area known as Bonnie Brae, but technically it's part of the Belcaro neighborhood. Not trying to split hairs and not trying to be a stickler about any of this stuff, but when we're going to talk about some neighborhoods later on, I'm going to reference this to make sure we're talking about the same thing. So 4 neighborhoods we're going to talk about today. The first one is Sloans Lake. Now, you may get on me if you're looking at the map and say, technically, Sam, this is Sloan Lake, and you would be correct. However, I've never heard anybody in my history here refer to it as such. It's always called Sloans Lake. Those names are so similar. As far as I'm concerned, we can use them interchangeably. I digress. This neighborhood, Sloan or Sloans, is my first one on the list that I love here in 2025. So it's got a lot going for it, and it always has. That's nothing new. West Side neighborhood, so west side of town. It's kind of built around the Sloans Lake and Sloans Lake Park. What do I love about it? Well, first of all, walkability. Very walkable within the neighborhood. If you're someone who likes to just walk to get exercise, walk your dog, something like that, the streets are very accessible for that. And of course, you can walk around the park and around the lake. Not too many Denver neighborhoods have lakes in them. Now, is it a man-made lake? Yes, but it's there, so it's real. That is a nice, somewhat unique feature as far as Denver neighborhoods go, and it's just very pleasant and very ripe for recreation, if you will. West side of town, a lot of people love that because you're closer to the mountains. It's also very walkable, very accessible to adjacent neighborhoods. So the Highlands, which people really love, are walkable from Sloans Lake. You can walk to Jefferson Park just to the east. And if you really want to get going, probably 25, 30 minutes of a walk, you can get downtown. It's also got a number of areas of adjacent businesses, so shops, bars, restaurants, things like that you can also walk to. Part of it's on the west side there, bordering Edgewater, right here on Sheridan. There's a lot going on there. Also on the south side, so this is when it technically becomes another neighborhood. This is where we branch into technically the West Colfax neighborhood. A lot of people consider this area between Colfax and 17th still part of the Sloans Lake neighborhood. Technically it's not, but it's all very accessible from the Sloans Lake neighborhood. There's a lot of new stuff down here, some apartments and condos and housing, but there's also a lot to do. There's an Alamo Draft House, there's a brewery, there's a burger place, there's a fair amount to keep you busy. At present time, median home price in Sloans is $844,000. That's a lot of single family homes. Yes, that's not cheap, and like most places in the Denver Metro, prices haven't come down too much, even as the market has slowed. But what you will notice, and one of the reasons I'm bringing it up now, homes are staying on the market a lot longer. Average days on market in Sloans, 47 days right now. Again, not out of the ordinary for this point in time in Denver real estate. But there are a fair amount of homes available, and the fact that they are sticking on the market longer means buyers have more negotiation, more leverage power, and you do see some price reductions. But even if listing prices haven't come down too much, this is something where here in 2025, if you've been looking at Sloans but thought, ooh, it might be a little too expensive for me, there is a ton of room for negotiation for sellers who've been trying to sell and haven't yet been able to. So in that way, more accessible than it has been in the last 5 years. And in general, here's what I really like about the Sloans Lake neighborhood. It's a nice nexus between stages of life where you often have to choose between neighborhoods in Denver. Here's what I mean. A lot of folks right after college or around that time of their lives, in their early mid-20s, they live in a really central Denver neighborhood, downtown, Rhino, uptown, and the like. Then, as life moves on, they've had their fill of city life to some point. Maybe they're starting a family. They move out, maybe to a different Denver neighborhood, a little farther out, Virginia Village, University Hills, Wash Park if you can afford it, or maybe all the way to the suburbs, right? Castle Rock, Littleton, or regrettably, Highlands Ranch. But Sloans is one of the few areas that can kind of be a middle ground. You see people living there in those earlier stages of life, but also in that middle stage of life where they're in their 30s or 40s and have a couple kids. It's one of the few neighborhoods in Denver, I think, that works for both. I will say that the schools on this side of town aren't always the best rated in DPS, so make sure to do your research there. Number 2 neighborhood, Hale, the Hale neighborhood. This is one that I think is a little bit on the come up. It's not new, but it does have some things going for it that are going to keep making it more and more desirable. So Hale, if you know, is just north of Hilltop, often gets lumped in with Hilltop, but very different neighborhood. It's the part of town east of Colorado Boulevard between 6th and Colfax. Median home price here, $717,000. So it's a different price bracket and still very much a Denver neighborhood. Probably slightly more of a city feel, even if it's a urban neighborhood. Fair amount of the time you're getting smaller homes, which accounts for that lower housing price, but it is almost universally single-family homes with yards. So you can get a house with a yard, and unless you have a whole bunch of people, you can probably find a house that meets your needs in Hale. My favorite thing about the Hale neighborhood in 2025 is this 9th and Colorado development on 9th-ish and Colorado on the west side of the neighborhood. This is walkable to most places in the neighborhood, and it's not new per se, but it is newer and it's still growing. I think it's the most underrated area of shops, restaurants, things to do in Denver right now. I did a video a few months ago on it, walking around at a listing near there. So we went and checked out the 9th and Colorado area, and it's great. It's busy. It's got a number of good restaurants. It's got a movie theater, some other things to do. It is really underrated at present time. It's just not as talked about as some other places, Pearl Street, Gaylord Street, Tennyson, stuff like that. It's newer, so it has a little different vibe, but it is, in my opinion, a great place to hang out. They just put in a brand new park kind of in the center of it. I think if you get into the Hale neighborhood now, you'll be reaping the rewards of this development as it continues to get better and better as the years go. Other thing too about Hale, similar to what I said about Sloans Lake, you are adjacent to some other great neighborhoods. It's probably not quite as walkable to some of those as Sloans is, but you got Congress Park just to the west, you have City Park just to the northwest, Cherry Creek to the southwest. You're right in the middle of a whole lot of good, and you don't need to go to any of those places. You have stuff right there in Hale. Much more accessible in terms of prices than the neighbor to the south, Hilltop, which I think is a little overvalued in a lot of ways right now. But if you're someone looking for a little house that's somewhat affordable, still want to be in a Denver neighborhood, this is a great option. Number 3, Hampton South. So this neighborhood is all the way on the southern tip of Denver, right before you get to the suburbs. And this is one we're going to pull up the Denver neighborhood map for because there's a fair amount of confusion about what it's called. So Hampton South is this one here on the east side of I-25. You see it's a good chunk of land here on the east side of 25. It does go down into the DTC just on the very north end here at the south end of the Hampton South neighborhood. Hampton South is commonly referred to as Southmore Park. Now, Southmore Park actually is the neighborhood you see here on the west side of I-25. It's smaller, it's kind of slim and sort of awkward shaped. Hampton South, many people refer to it as Southmore Park. There's a lot of confusion. Why? Well, Southmore Elementary School is in the Hampton South neighborhood. Even the namesake park, Southmore Park itself, is located in the Hampton South neighborhood. Why they do this, I don't know, but if we're going on official names, neighborhood we're talking about today is the one on the east side of I-25. Also do love Southmore Park on the west side, Not talking about it today, prices there are much more expensive. It's kind of Cherry Hills light. You see it bumps up against Cherry Hills right here to the west side of Southmore Park. It's very nice, very quiet, very closed off. Over here on the east side though, much more accessible. You can get a lot of house for well under $1 million. Median home price in Hampton South, $455,000. But before we get too excited, because that seems kind of wild, what accounts for that is a lot of the multifamily, a lot of the condos here on the south side and on the east side. But really the epicenter, the meat of the Hampton South neighborhood is this area sort of in the north central, northwest part of the neighborhood. That is mostly single family homes. Average for a single family home in this neighborhood is $867,000. So way, way more. But the average home size for a single family home at that price, almost 3,200 square feet. So you're getting a lot of house over 3,000 square feet. A lot of these are 4, 5, 6 bedroom homes for that price. This is the reason I love this neighborhood. And spoiler alert, some of you know I do live in this neighborhood at present time. So I am a bit biased, but is it I say I love it because I live here, or I live here because I really enjoy it? Maybe a little bit of both, but the point is you can get a lot more house than most Denver neighborhoods and with a yard for a lower price. A lot of Denver neighborhoods, especially some of the older Denver neighborhoods, you're well over $1 million, sometimes over $2 million for that sort of square footage. But here it's much, much less. It feels less urban than a Wash Park or a Platt Park or a Hilltop, but it also doesn't feel super suburban. Okay, it's the last stop before you get to the suburbs, so it feels a little more suburban, but you still have wide streets and mature trees. That's one of the big things that separates, in my opinion, a real suburban feel from more of a city feel is those mature trees, because they've had the time to mature, to get bigger, shady. It really gives the neighborhood a different feel. Most of these homes were built in the 60s or 70s, so it has had time to mature. It's a different home style too. A lot of them are brick build homes, classic 2 stories. There are some split levels. So a lot of the folks I talk to in the neighborhood, you know, they kind of roll their eyes and go, yeah, we used to live wherever. We used to live in Park Hill. We used to live in Cap Hill. Now we live in the suburbs. And I get why they say it, but it's technically not a suburb. And what I always say is, if you're someone like me who spent a fair amount of time showing homes in the actual suburbs, the Parkers and the Centennials and the Castle Rocks of the world, it's night and day difference. Hampton South is really right in the middle of those old, super old, established Denver neighborhoods and the suburbs. One drawback is walkability. It is super walkable within the neighborhood. Great place to walk your dog. But in terms of getting to local businesses and restaurants, there's not a ton of that going on. You kind of have to leave the neighborhood. You do have great access to Target, Raising Cane's, Whole Foods, stuff like that. So creature comforts, very, very accessible. Charm, less so. And number 4, Cheeseman Park. So we're back north. This is one of those really old Denver neighborhoods. It's got that old Denver feel, but I like it because it's more accessible price-wise than some other adjacent neighborhoods, and it's just as good or better. Median home price, $472,000, but again, that's mostly condos and multifamily. There are very few single-family homes in Cheeseman Park. So if you're looking for a condo with some charm, historic building, that sort of thing, there are tons of options in Cheeseman. And honestly, I just love the park. That's the centerpiece of the neighborhood. It's a super good urban park, always clean, seems safe, very active. There's always people walking their dogs, biking, jogging. I've said walking dogs like 5 times in this video. I guess it's just in my head because I did it this morning. It's Dog City too, Denver, Dogver. But great, expansive green space, good place to hang out or exercise. Does not get the headlines like a Wash Park or a city park, but it's got a lot of the same things going for it. And a lot of these historic condo buildings are on or really close to the park. So you have Cheeseman Park just literally right out your door. It's the most urban feeling of all the neighborhoods on the list, so not going to be for everybody, but it's got history, it's central, lots to do. I enjoy spending time there. Like I said before, if there's anything we can do for you real estate-wise, please do reach out, even if it's just a conversation. We have a handy little inquiry form for you to reach out, and we'll get in touch with you within 24 hours. Thanks for watching as always. Love you. Talk soon.